Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session for today. It is a beautiful day today. It's sunny outside. I hope our minds are fresh for our morning class. Um, I do apologize for not being here for the past 2 days. I had some issues to attend to, but thank you to my HOD who was standing in for me. So yes, today we are going to be learning about 3Ds and also prisms. All right, before we go ahead and start with our lesson, I'd like to remind everyone that please switch your videos off. Otherwise, my host will kick you out of the class. So please, the rules are that you do not switch your video on. All right, we only allow the mics to be on. And however, for you to answer, he will allow you to answer. You raise your hand and then he will then unmute your mic and then you can speak. Okay? So please let us all adhere to the rules. We do not want anyone to miss out on today's class. All right, as I said, my name is Tabitha and I will be teaching you maths today. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. I don't know why now my PC is not giving me the next slide. Okay, so at the end of this lesson, you will be able to know the properties of three-dimensional objects, the difference between three-dimensional objects that are prisms and those that are anti-prisms, meaning those that are not prisms. Okay. All right. The first thing that we should know is the definition of a prism for us to be able to answer any question relating to prisms and 3D shapes. Okay. So what is a prism? Okay, a prism is a type of three-dimensional shape with flat sides. It has two ends that are the same shape and size and look like a 2D shape. All right, so we're saying these two ends will look like a 2D shape. It has the same cross section all along the shape from end to end. This means that if you cut through it, you will be able to see the same 2D shape on either end. All right, for an example, let's take a loaf of bread, right? A loaf of bread that is not sliced, it's a solid loaf of bread. You cut it in half, it should still give you the same shape, same size on either end, right? And then cut it again, cut the one half, in half it will have 2/4. Those 2/4 should be able to give you the same shape and the same size. That is what we call the cross section. All right. Now looking at this picture here, all right, this is what we call a 3D object. It is called a 3D object because it shows length, width, and height. Okay, and 3D objects are objects that take up space. All right, it is objects that take up space and they should be able to show length, width, and height. Okay. Now, how do we know which shapes are prisms? How do we identify prisms? Okay. Apart from a cube and a cuboid, if you know the name of a polygon or a 2D shape on the end of the prism, it is easy to work out the name of the prism. All right. So if I know my 2D shape, then I will be able to identify a prism and say, okay, this particular prism, because of these two ends, because of the shape of its ends, then this is a particular prism. All right. Here, for an example, if you have a let's say you have a prism that has a triangle shape on either end. Then you will be able to say, okay, this is a triangular prism. And again, if you have a pentagon shape, a 2D pentagon shape on either end, you should be able to recognize that this is a pentagonal prism. Okay? We said except for a cube and a cuboid. All right? The reason we're saying except for a cube, it is because a cube has all its faces. They have the same shape and size. It does not have two ends that are different from other faces, but they are all the same. So looking at one end, you cannot be able to tell what type of a prism it is if you are only looking at one end, or rather on both ends, without looking at other faces of this object, which is a cube. All right. So here we have our 2D shape. This is how a 2D shape looks like. Okay. Here we have a circle. It has one side. Here we have a triangle. It has three sides. And here we have a square. It has four sides. We have a rectangle. It has four sides. We have a pentagon. It has five sides. We have hexagon. It has six sides. We have heptagon. It has seven sides. We have octagon, eight sides. This is how you count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we have a nonagon here, 9 sides, and a decagon, 10 sides. Okay, these are all your 2D shapes. Okay, at the bottom, we are looking at 3D shapes, what we call three-dimensional shapes. All right, now we see here, this one is similar to a circle, but it is taking up space. So this one is called a sphere. Sorry about that. So this one is called a sphere. And here, this one is a prism. Okay. This one here is a cuboid. This one is a cube, a cylinder, pyramid, and a cone. Okay, look at all these shapes. This one is a sphere, a prism, cuboid, cone, pyramid, cylinder, and in pink we have a cube. Okay, now let's move on to our next slide. All right, there are misconceptions when it comes to prisms. All right. There's a conception that says, sorry, a misconception that says all prisms are rectangular prisms. That is a misconception. We must keep that in mind, that this is a misconception. All prisms are rectangular prisms. Not all prisms are rectangular prisms. Okay. And also, I would like to ask, okay, on the following slide, right? I'd like to ask you, are these four objects that you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, these four objects, are all these objects prisms? Okay, I'd like an answer. You can raise your hand and then my host will help me by unmuting one. Are these here on top prisms? Yes, Mahlodi, you have raised your hand. You can give us an answer.
Yes, ma'am. They are prisms.
Why are you saying these are prisms, Mahlodi?
Because some of their faces are either rectangles or squares.
So you're saying some of their faces are either rectangles or squares?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can I have someone else to answer that same question? Tell us if these four shapes here are prisms or not, and why you're saying these are prisms. Sorry about that. Can I have someone else?
Tandu.
Yes. Hello.
Some of them.
These four here on top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me, are they prisms? Hello. Okay, I think we should move to the next one. There's two hands that are raised. Can I have
JD?
one to answer this question for us?
Yes, we've unmuted JD.
Yes,
Ma'am, it's a
Tando.
prism. Ma'am,
I
it's a
didn't hear your
prism.
answer, Tando.
Teacher, we have got JD on the line.
Okay, JD.
Ma'am, it's a prism because it has a 2D shape in front of it and at the back of it.
Thank you so much, JD. The reason these are prisms, it is because on either end, they have a 2D shape. Remember what we said when we were giving our explanation? That if they have 2D shape on either end that is the same shape and size, then it means that those are prisms. Okay? All right. Now I'd also like to ask the question, are all rectangular prisms, these shapes, are they all rectangular prisms? Looking at this, the same shapes, these four that are on top?
No.
Okay, no. All right. Thank you so much for that. No, they are not. Okay, is a cube a prism? We don't have a cube here, but I'm asking, is a cube a prism?
Nduvo.
Yes.
A cube is not a prism. Ma'am, a cube is not a prism.
Is a cube a prism?
Yes.
Ma'am, are you saying that it's not a prism?
Okay, there's one saying it's not a prism. Okay, can I have someone else that's going to answer the same question? Is
Adriel?
a cube a prism?
It
I
is
don't know if I'm-
a prism.
It is a prism. Is that your answer?
Yes.
Thank you so much. All right, yes, indeed, a cube is a prism. All right, this is a misconception that it says that a cube is not a prism. That's a misconception. All right, a cube is a prism. It is a special kind of a prism with all faces that are square. All right, it is a prism, but it is different from other prisms because it has all its faces that are square and they are the same shape and size. Okay. All right. Now let us move on to the bottom part on this slide. Here, looking at the bottom, all right, I'm going to ask just one question. Looking at the bottom, are these prisms? Give us a reason why, if you're saying it is or if you're saying it is not. Why are you saying it is a prism or why you're saying it is not a prism? Can I have someone to answer?
Ma'am, the learners are also answering you in the chat. So if you open the
Okay.
chat, you'll see there's a whole number of answers there. In the
Okay,
meantime, we have unmuted Mashlodi.
yes, Mashlodi. What's the answer, Mahlodi? I see a lot of people saying no, they are not prisms. Can we also type on the chat box why, so that we know that we are on the same page? Can we type on the same box why we're saying, sorry, on the chat box, why are they not prisms?
Ms. Lori, you are unmuted. You can speak to the teacher.
Ma'am, they are not prisms because they don't have 2D shapes which are of the same size.
That's correct, Masodi. They don't have 2D shape on either end, which are the same size, right? They don't have 2D shape, which is the same size on either end of its object, which is correct. Yes, I also see here all the way to and Donovan, they've given, okay, no, Donovan is saying they are all prisms because it's examples of prisms. No, Donovan, we're looking at the ones at the bottom. There are examples, but I had to put ones that are not prisms so that we can be able to identify. All right, but I do see that some of our learners are saying yes. Actually, no, they're not prisms. So we are on the right track. Let's move on to our next slide. All right, now we are going to have this little exercise. Match the description with the object shown below. Okay. You match the description with an object that is shown below. Okay, you are going to say 1A. The answer is A, B, C, D, E, or F, right? You will say 1A, the answer is 1B, the answer is 1C, the answer is, same goes for 2. 2A, the answer is, 2B, the answer is. All right, the first one, the object has 6 faces. All faces are the same shape and size. We have these 6 here. We have these 6 objects here. So which one is described in 1A? Which one is described in 1A? Okay, I have some saying D, some saying C, some saying B, and some saying A. All right. I have only 2 people or 3 now. Okay, the rest now are saying D on our chat box. Okay, for 1B, the correct answer is D. Okay, sorry, for 1A, the correct answer is D. Remember, we just explained a cube that it has all faces have the same shape and same size. And how do we count the faces? Okay, we look at these 2 ends. Okay, this is the 2D shape, which is the front, and the back one, that's 2. So we look at the top, that's 3, the side, that's 4, the bottom, that's 5, and this other side here, that's 6. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, the top 5 and the bottom 6. So the answer is 1A is D. All right, let's move on to our next one. The object has 5 faces. 2 opposite faces are triangles that are the same shape and size. Okay, some people are saying A, that's correct. A is correct for 1B. A is correct because we have here a triangle and we have 2 triangles, so that's 2. Let's count the sides. We have 1 and we have 2 and we have 3 at the bottom. So 2 ends plus 3 faces, that's 5. That is exactly what is being described on 1B. All right. Now let's look at 1C. The object has 7 faces. 5 of the faces are rectangles that are the same shape and size. All right, I have a few people also on the chat box. I have Carl, Abu, Matlodi, Pratish, Devon saying 1C is C, and also Loazi. All right, so most people have the correct one. It is C. All right, here are the rectangle sides. These are the rectangle, same shape, same size, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the bottom, and here are the two opposite sides which are equal. Okay, now let's go to 2A. Which two objects in question 1 are not prisms? We are on 2A. Which objects in question 1 are not prisms? Okay, I see one is saying B. Matilda is saying A, B, C, D, F. Please switch off your camera, otherwise you'll be kicked out of the class. So which two objects? Remember, it's two. So if the instruction says two, please identify only two and not more than two. All right, I see Bontle says it's B and F. And Devin as well is saying B and F. Okay, and also there's P30 Light saying B and F. So everyone is agreeing. I'll take it that everyone is agreeing that it is B and F. There's two objects that are not prisms. They look like pyramids. These two are not prisms. So which objects in question 1 are not rectangular prisms? Now we are on 2B. 2B, which objects in question 1 are not rectangular prisms? All right, I have JD saying it's F, C, B, A, G. And I have Devin as well saying B, A, C, because of the bend of the prism. And then I have P30 Light, F, B, B, C, F. All right, most people are saying it's B, C, F, A, B, D, and F. Okay, JD, you raised your hand. Do you want to speak to everyone? We can unmute you, JD.
Ma'am,
Yes.
how do you know if F is not a rectangle or not a prism, ma'am? Because it has a same shape on both sides.
Okay,
Or F.
you're saying it has the same shape on both sides. How do you look at the sides, JD? Remember, if you looking at this one, right?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
top part is sharp. We said it has flat faces or flat sides.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Not a problem. All right, now moving on to my laptop automatically took me to the next slide. All right, now let's quickly go, before we run out of time, let's quickly go to our next activity. We're matching 2D shape with the 3D shape. You'll just tell me the name. If a cube is a circle, if you're matching a cube and a circle, you will write cube or circle on the chat box, and then I'll be able to read the answers out and then give the correct one. Also, if you want to raise your hand, that's another option. But just so we do not run out of time, can we quickly have the answers for the first one? Okay, I have 3 raised hands. One can answer. We'll start from the
Holocracy.
cube to the sphere.
Ma'am, it's the cube goes to the square.
The cube goes to the square. Thank you so much. The cube here goes right here to the square. It goes to the square. All right. The second one, the rectangular prism. Can I have someone else to answer?
Pratish.
Yes, Pratish?
The rectangular prism goes to the rectangle.
The rectangular prism goes to rectangle. That is correct. Now we're looking at the third one.
Zamile.
Then the triangular prism goes to the
Can you speak closer to the mic?
Then the triangular prism goes to the triangle.
The triangular prism goes to the triangle. So you draw a line from here to here. Thank you so much. All right. Then second last one, hexagonal prism.
Bondle.
The hexagonal prism goes to the hexagon.
Thank you. That's correct. And the sphere. Last one.
Mashlori.
Sphere goes with circle.
A sphere goes with a circle. Thank you so
Circle.
much. You guys are brilliant. I love you. I love you. All right, now here's our next question. It's only one question on this slide that we're going to be looking at. So which object is not a prism, and explain why you're saying
Chris,
so.
my sê jou week 2 se klein vir hom.
I beg you? Anyone can answer. I'll also look at the chat box. Which object, just one, which object is not a prism, and you explain why. You can choose one, then you explain why you're saying it is not an object. Sorry, it is not a prism. Okay, those who are just giving me the letters, I am not going to read out your answers because the question says explain why. Yes?
We've got Adriel.
C and D because they don't have the same size.
C and
D,
C and D because they don't have the
same size on each side.
same sides that are equal.
Yes,
Is that your answer?
yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, that is correct. If we're looking at these two objects here, okay, let's look at C. All right, we're looking at C, we can be able to pick up that the back part is heightened than the front part. Okay, the front part is lower than the back part, then these two are similar. So also is E. E is not a prism because of the front face. Okay, because of the front face that looks like an L. So those are the ones that are not prisms. Okay, moving on to our next slide. All right, here we have a figure, we have a 2D name, we have a 3D name. All right, this is only to prepare you. We already did this in our second or third slide, but this is just to prepare you now for the homework that I'll be giving you. It is going to be a long weekend, so I have something practical that I would like you to do over the weekend. But firstly, the first figure, let us look at the figure, the 2D name and the 3D name. All right, we have three sides. All right, the minute you see three sides, you look at the 2D shape, which is in front of a prism, then you know that is a triangular prism. Okay, you count your sides, it has 4 sides, but how are these 4 sides? Are they all equal? Are they not equal? So if they are all equal, then it basically means it's a square. If they're not all equal, then it would be a rectangle, but it must have 2 ends that are the same shape and the same size for it to be a rectangle. And then you would know now the name of your 3D would either, if the 2 ends are a square, then it will be a cube. If the 2 ends are rectangle, then it would be a cuboid. Okay, there's 5 sides. The figure has 5 sides. The 2D that you can see is a pentagon, right? The name of the prism is pentagonal prism. Sorry, there's 6 sides. Name of a 2D is hexagon. Name of a 3D, it is hexagonal prism. 7 sides, pentagon, pentagonal prism. It has 8 sides, octagon, 3D, octagonal prism. 9 sides, nonagon, nonagonal prism. 10 sides, decagon, decagonal prism. Right, now we move on to our next slide. Okay, before I take you to your homework page, this is what I want you to remember. Okay, today you learned about prisms. All right, we learned about prisms and 3-dimensional objects. What is it that you must remember about these 3-dimensional objects or about these prisms? One, it is that a prism is a 3-dimensional shape, meaning it takes up space, that has identical and parallel ends and have flat faces. That's what you need to take home with you. A prism is a 3-dimensional shape that has identical and parallel ends and have flat faces. Okay, what's the other thing that we have learned today is that the face of a prism is a 2D shape. Okay, the last thing that I did not write here that I want us to remember is that if I am able to tell the name of a 2D shape in a prism, it is easier for me to know the name of the prism, right? As we can see here, if I can be able to tell the two ends of the prism, then I'll be able to give the name of a 3D object. Remember we said besides a square and a cuboid, all right? Because these two don't only have 2 sides that are equal. Rather, the square, all the faces are the same shape and size. So it won't be easy just looking at the, let's say now on the one side or in the other, or sorry, opposite side. So it will not be easy for you to immediately decide that, okay, this is a cube. All right. So here is your homework. I would like you to go on our website as soon as this session ends. Please go to our website, Africa Teens Geeks, and also it will be available on YouTube. Complete this homework for me, okay? You're matching the net sheet. You're matching the net to a name. The first one, here's an example, all right? Here is an example. We have a net here that looks like a T shape. You match it to the name. There's names right in the middle. You match it to the name. Okay, it looks like a cube. If I were to fold this net up, it would make a cube. Okay, then you take your line to the cube. This is your homework. We're not going to complete it now. So for the practical homework that I want you to do over the weekend, take a piece of paper, cut out a cuboid shape, and put it together into a 3D. So you'll be able to tell me which one it is here. Next week, which one you can tell me which one is it, the first, second, the third, the fourth net that you had cut out and put together, and it formed a rectangle or a cuboid. So that is your homework. You are matching the net to a 3D object and also giving the name. And also one last thing over the weekend, to please do a practical work. Cut out a piece of paper into a net. Here are the examples on the left hand side, and then you build it up to a 3D object. Thank you so much. This is all that we have for today. I do hope that our lesson was fruitful. Please do come again on Monday. We'll look at the corners and faces of all the different prisms and more work. Thank you so much and do enjoy your day. This is the end of our lesson.